listening to the Arden University podcast with Alicia
and Kate, your hosts.
Join us as we talk with students, academics and other guests
about topical issues and subject matters connected to your studies. Okay, hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Arden University podcast. I am Kate. I'm joined by the wonderful Alicia as always.
Hello.
And we have a very special guest with us this week, Phil. Phil is one of our academics here at the university, and for those of you who are listening to the podcast, you won't see the fact that Phil is here in fabulous full drag. So Phil, do you want to introduce yourself to the people out there who are listening or watching the podcast?
Yeah, of course. So I'm Phil, I use they, them pronouns, and I am a senior lecturer here in health and care management, but also my alter ego is Philli Mi Up, and I'm a drag mess and activist.
Wow.
Honestly, the look is everything. I can't cope.
Yeah.
So just so we know kind of how we're going to address you at the moment while you are obviously in your drag persona, would you prefer Phil or Philly while we're talking to you?
I don't mind, either or, that's fine. So I'm here in both capacities.
Excellent.
Lovely.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about kind of your research area and what you do when you're not being Philli Mi Up?
Yeah, of course. So my area of research is looking at LGBTQ plus and dementia care, particularly looking at gender neutral care spaces, looking at how identity changes for people when they enter different social contexts. So, for example, an older person at Pride would be a very different person to an older person maybe in a very heterosexual care home. And that's kind of what I'm looking at, and how we can try and minimise that change of identity and try and allow somebody to stay being their authentic self.
So we're coming up to Pride Month, the next month, is it in June, is that right? Yeah, so is there anything big coming up soon with Pride Month which you might be involved in?
So we've got some exciting stuff here at Arden. I do talks and consultancy work and help organisations. I generally go into care homes and speak to them and promote the gay agenda, let's say, in a care home, and just going in, having a chat with them and just seeing how I can support that. So I'll hopefully be speaking to a few care homes, which will be quite exciting. I'm also talking with a colleague of mine who is actually a person living with dementia and who is from the LGBTQ community, and we're both going to be hopefully touring the UK in drag, giving talks and doing poetry and having fun.
Amazing.
So that's going to be really fun. It's in the really early stages, but fingers crossed. And then here at Arden, I'm running a LGBTQ plus conference where we've got loads of exciting speakers coming to talk, and that should be really exciting as well.
That is so cool. Wow, there's so much happening. I didn't realise.
Please sign me up for 3 tickets to that show.
Yes,
I will be there. Thank you very much. So I think it's really important for us to talk about Pride a lot, and we will see Pride in a lot of social media from different brands, different people, but it's really important. I personally think that we talk about why we have Pride and why we have a Pride Month and what that means to you and to the community. I mean, for you kind of going into this, how do you feel going into Pride Month? What kind of things are you looking forward to, or are you a bit nervous of?
I think I'm not massively too nervous about anything, but I think it's definitely needed as much as ever. And I think you hear quite often people say, "Oh, why do we still need Pride?" But I know here in Birmingham recently we've had such a spate of hate crimes, and that's in our gay village, our safe space, and people are literally getting bottled, etc. on a regular basis. So it's really quite scary, and I've still been reading some really hateful comments of I believe it's Jake, the footballer who's just come out, and there's still hateful comments on social media. So really Pride Month is needed as much as ever, And then you've obviously got a lot of the hate towards the trans community, a lot of issues with certain people on social media, let's say. And then you've also got even the Independent Equalities Commission are actually putting out transphobic material that goes against the Equality Act. So even people who should be there fighting for us are still against us. And I think, I say us because I identify as trans, because I identify as non-binary, hence the colours that I'm wearing. And if anybody is listening, I'm wearing the non-binary colours, which is black, purple, white and yellow. And because I don't identify as the sex assigned at birth, I do identify as trans. It's our community. I think we're definitely having a difficult time at the moment. So I think with all of these things, I think Pride is definitely needed more than ever, really.
Yeah, and just to take this moment to make it very, very clear that here at Arden we absolutely are behind that, and on
100%.
personal levels as well for me and Alicia, that
Definitely.
Trans rights are human rights. This is non-negotiable. Gender criticism is not welcome here, so let's not bring it into the conversation. Now, how can we get involved? So as allies and as people who maybe aren't part of the community, or there's people out there watching or listening that want to get involved, what would you recommend? I know that for me, I love Pride. I like to go out and give free hugs and things like that. It's like my favourite thing to do.
That's sweet.
It's amazing. If you haven't done that, I would 10 out of 10 recommend doing that. It's super fun.
Is that one with the big t-shirt saying free hugs here?
Yeah. I had a sign one year. It was great. There's all sorts of things like that. There are smaller things, kind of donations to charities, that kind of thing. Are the things that you would recommend people do that, maybe are not obvious and not go into things like just the parade, or are the resources that you'd encourage people to access?
Yeah, you can look online. So Stonewall's website has what good ally looks like, and it's always things like, even if somebody isn't there and somebody gets misgendered, to still challenge that, to promote pronoun use. If you have emails, work emails, or even your student emails, you could put your pronouns in your email. Things like that, and it's just about creating discussions, challenging anything you hear. Like, for example, if somebody says, something's gay, meaning a negative term, challenge that, because actually that's got that connotation that there's something wrong with being gay when there isn't. So I think a lot of it is about trying not to be performative, because that's something we quite often see is somebody will wear a rainbow flag for their Instagram and then go and misgender somebody, or use that's gay as a saying, and it's like, actually challenge that, actually put the hard work, educate yourself, know how to do better. And I think that's really what it is. I'm not expecting you to be stood at the front, put yourself in front of somebody if somebody's attacking somebody, but at the same time just challenge things when you do see them.
Say a theoretical scenario then, if you've got a friend and they're using the wrong pronouns for someone, what would be a really polite way of just like correcting them and making sure that they sort of like understand? Would you just say, hey, my pronouns are this, that, the other, and then just that would be it? Or is there something you do which you'd be like, this would be a really good way to maybe like show them that there's more to it than just about the pronouns, it's about the way it affects an individual or anything like that?
Yeah, I think it's a tricky one. It's me personally, because I use they, them pronouns, so obviously it's something that is different to a lot of people's thinking, so a lot of people are very binary focused. So I generally explain why. I'm very open to discussion, and I do explain that I use they, them, and I explain why, and I think that gives a little bit of context to it. But I do really subscribe to the point that it's not up to the oppressor to be the educator. So actually sometimes if you are just upset and you just say you're upset and that's it, I think that's absolutely fine. I don't think people always have the ability to engage in those discussions because it can be quite hurtful, quite upsetting. But I think, and if you're an ally, just fighting for that, explain the importance and the fact that actually pronouns are incredibly personal and very important to people, and that actually it does need to be respected.
Yeah.
So I think it's just adding that context and explaining it. I haven't really got any specific examples, but I think if you explain the importance and the impact it has on people, people generally tend to be a bit more accepting of it.
Yeah, I get that. I know I identify as she, her. I'd feel a little bit upset if someone called me Mr. So it's exactly the same as if someone were to do that with someone else. So they, them is what is comfortable, is correct. And
it's names as well. We all have certain ways of being called. Like everything out here at Arden, I've got Phil. And then when somebody emails me with Philip, I kind of feel a little bit taken back. I have a bit of a pearl clutching moment. I'm just a bit like, nobody, only my mum calls me Philip. And it kind of just, and I'm like, where has that even come from? Because nothing, even if you hover over my name on Outlook, it comes up as Phil. It does not come up as Philip anywhere, really. So it kind of throws me. So I think it's just general respect, isn't it? About referring to somebody with what they like to be known as.
It's something, it drives me crackers. So I'm not a Katie or a Catherine, I'm a Kate. And that is my given name, that's my kind of legal name. And it's driven me insane since I was little. One of my parents' favourite stories is that I was kind of 4 and starting nursery, and they went, oh, is it Katie with an IE or Katie with a Y? And kind of 4-year-old me turned around and went, it's Kate, And at 4, I understood the importance of that. Because it's so important to us to have that, that is our name, that is what we choose to be called. And even now, it drives, and I hear myself doing it as an adult. I go, actually, it's Kate, Kate. And that 4-year-old in me is like, yes, yes, she's done it again. And if we can understand the importance of that at 4, think any toddler, you call them by the wrong name, they go berserk. If your 4-year-old can do it, this is not a difficult thing to do.
Absolutely.
100%. And then that's not even taking into account then the added complexities of gender dysphoria and stuff on top of that. That's just your name, which is so deeply personal and so important. If you add then other aspects like gender dysphoria on top, then it's just so important.
I wanted to ask kind of, because we've got into some very deep things, and that is really important, but I wanted to ask you a fun question. So, do you have like a best memory of Pride since kind of you've decided to kind of come out in drag? Because obviously this is, something that is a drag persona develops, and as you kind of develop your identity, have you got like one moment where you felt like, yes, this is it, this is what I'm kind of doing, and really felt the pride that we talk about?
I think it was probably when I started. I've kind of got two, because I've got a fairly large online drag family, and I do a lot of online international stuff, and I run my own little drag show type of thing where it's like a competition but nobody's judged, because I hate the idea of judging people's art, so everybody just takes turn. And I think at doing a look, and then we all just discuss it and we have fun. And I think when I ran that and people just said thank you so much, and then people were so complimentary of my drag alongside that, and it made me feel really validated that actually I can do drag my own way, because we have a lot of gatekeeping in drag. A certain TV show causes that a little bit. I do still watch it, but at the same time I'm normally shouting at the TV, not very happy with it. It's one of those things. So I think being validated is really important. But I think in person, I hosted my first show, I believe it's about a year ago or 2 years ago in Worcester, and I was the host of, it's called Saucy, and they do a lot of fantastic stuff in Worcester, really community stuff. And I hosted that, and it was the first time I had been actually in public in drag. And everybody was so welcoming and so accepting, and it was such a good feeling to feel validated in that sense. So that was a really lovely feeling, and being able to be myself, express myself in the way that I like to express myself, which I think was really important.
That's ace. And for me, and I don't know about anyone else, this may sound a bit weird, and to have the confidence to be utterly yourself is so hard to do, and I don't know that I do it. I don't think I do all the time, and it's so to be sat with someone like you that has gone, no, this is.
But can I just add there that I might look like I've got the confidence to be myself, but I still have issues. I still have internalised homophobia, transphobia, etc. And there's another drag queen called Panty Bliss who does an amazing speech, and it's called The Address at the Noble Theatre. Please do look it up on YouTube. And they basically say, in a world that is so stiflingly heteronormative and basically homophobic, transphobic. Even us queer people are homophobic and transphobic, etc., and we can't not be. So actually, I still have my internalised issues. So I'm really comfortable to be myself to a certain degree, but there will be days where I still won't feel comfortable with myself and my gender identity, and I still have gender dysphoria, etc. So, like, I think it's just really important for people to know that even if you are being as much of your authentic self as possible, and you still have those feelings, that is absolutely fine.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I just think the respect that I have for you because the internalised thing is something that I think a lot of people have for different reasons. For those of you who are listening, I am plus size, so internalised fat phobia is something that I have a huge issue with, and the fact that to see someone working through those internalised things for me is like, okay, maybe I could actually do this as well. So I think I always it's a very kind of obvious way of working through that internalisation, and I always have a huge amount of respect for anyone that can do that when I know it's something that I massively struggle with it in other ways.
It's brave to be yourself sometimes, just and be very true, and this is who I am, take me or leave me. It's that kind of approach, which is hard to do because no one likes being judged, looked at, all those kind of things, but sometimes it's the only way you can be yourself and feel really comfortable in those moments when you're just, here I am. That's all you're gonna
100%. It can be really difficult, but I think once you do start challenging and you hit it head on, it's so freeing. Such a lovely feeling just to be walking down Broad Street in full drag, just not caring what people think. I'll be honest, a few gins, Jeff definitely does help as well. Probably shouldn't be promoting that, but the free feeling you have is just incredible, of just basically thinking, I don't care what people think, this is who I am. And it is such an amazing feeling just to feel free of all of those structures that kind of keep you down.
You describing it, I am a little bit jealous right now. I kind of want to put on drag and join you. That would be amazing.
You do. As I said, anybody can do drag. This whole idea that it's only gay men or certain people can do, everybody can do drag. Drag is incredibly diverse. We have drag kings, we have people who are female or so female at birth who do drag and are drag queens, and it's for everybody. And I think that's what people need to remember, because for me drag is a performance. It's a performance of gender. So I'm non-binary / a little bit agender, so I don't kind of believe in traditional gender. So I will put this on, I will do a lot of contrasting ideas. I'm still quite hairy, I keep my beard, I'm quite gender non-conforming with my drag. I generally don't see myself as cross-dressing as a woman. I'm dressing as certain aspects of gender. And that for me, because of that belief, everybody can do drag, everybody can perform gender in a totally different way to that they normally do, even if it is the gender that you identify with.
Can we just talk practicalities for a minute?
Yeah.
Because I spent like 25 minutes this morning arguing with like a mascara wand. How long did this look take for you to put together? Because it is incredible. And I want to know what setting spray you use, because I'm swaying through my foundation and you look immaculate.
I wouldn't go that far. We definitely had, filming earlier, we definitely had a few moments where it did feel like my face was falling off, I will be very honest, and I had people running around me with tissues dabbing me, which was definitely an experience.
Movie star moment.
I've touched it up. I had massive dark circles. It really looked like I had been in a fight. But this took me about 2.5 hours to do. It does take me a little while. I'm getting faster the more I do it. It takes me a couple of hours. And on the setting spray, Revolution, the sport one, this is not an ad, I'm not endorsed, but if Revolution do listen, you can always sponsor me. That's absolutely fine. I'll very happily be sponsored. That's really good price, and it actually works. It works with sweat.
So we'll write that down, please.
It's a fantastic setting spray. But it takes me a few hours, and it's generally quite a few layers that goes into it.
Can I ask, is there any meaning behind the bees in their hair? Or
so I'm non-binary and we call ourselves NB. So a lot of people, non-binary people, have kind of adopted the B as a symbol because it's kind of in our name. So I just thought I'd play with it, and the colour goes with the colour scheme. So I thought I'd just put some little cute felt bees on it just for a bit of fun.
Oh, I love that. That's so cool. And I learned something new as well at the same time.
That's our aim, isn't it, Alyssa? In every podcast, we try and learn something new.
Yeah.
Or become better people.
Yes, absolutely.
I think we're hitting that target today. What has the reaction been? So for people who are listening, who aren't necessarily watching, we are currently in Lot 14, which is one of our study centres here in Birmingham. What has the reaction been to you kind of being in this? Have you seen any of your students today? Have they?
None that I recognise, none that I actually teach, but a lot of students have been. There's definitely been a bit of a buzz about, like, people have come out, people have wanted pictures, have been taking pictures. There does seem to be quite a lot of excitement, so I think it's something that you don't really see every day, is it really? Like a drag queen just walking across a university campus or like study centre.
Please wear this to graduation.
Yeah. I might do a special graduation outfit.
Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to purchase the cap, but we'll work it out. It will be absolutely fine. I will actually pay you to do that. So we've talked about kind of pride and kind of the community getting involved. I always think there is a question from someone saying, you know, do I have to be part of the LGBTQ plus community to be part of this? And I mean, my feeling, having been involved in things, is no, and that it's important for us to be involved as allies, because, like you said earlier, the oppressor shouldn't be the educator. We have a responsibility to be involved and educate ourselves. And I just wonder what you would say to someone who is maybe an ally but feeling a little bit nervous, you know, not wanting to step on toes but wants to help out. Have you got kind of something that you, as part of the community, would say to them? I know that I would say to them, do it. It will be the best thing, and you will meet the best people. And there is no more kind of love and affection and genuine joy than being part of the activities around the LGBTQ plus community, because it's a community that is about support. And obviously there are, you know, areas of it where it's maybe slightly different, but I would say do it. I don't know what your message would be. No,
exactly the same. We absolutely love our allies, and we really, really appreciate our allies. So yeah, please do it. We definitely throw the best parties, 100%. But on the serious side, don't just use us for the parties, though. Do also help us, support us, fight our fight when needed. But if you're doing that, then 100% come along to our parties as well. If you're willing to take the hard times with us, definitely do enjoy the fun times with us too. So I'm 100%. If you do it, and we will be supportive. We really, really do appreciate our allies, and we will open you with open arms, definitely. Everywhere I've been, allies have been supported. The only thing I will say is don't be too vocal with a drag queen, because they do get a bit feisty with straight people, or they might get very flirty with you as well, but one or the other. But please do it. Come along, have fun with us, but also fight our fight.
I mean, one of the best insults I ever received, I was called fat by a drag queen dressed as Ursula, and I was like, my life has been made. I've peaked that I've annoyed this person this much.
I remember going out, like, there's a really well-known drag queen called Danny Beard.
Yes.
But they, whenever somebody who's straight goes near the stage and starts overstepping the mark, they have a certain song that they sing, which it's got a swear word in. I don't think I can sing it now, but it is the most hilarious song, and they get the whole bar to sing to them, and they generally fade away. So yeah, don't upset a sassy drag queen. That's my biggest advice is, as a straight person, don't upset a sassy drag queen.
Nice. Maybe we could get the team to put that song on fade out at the end of this podcast after in editing.
If it can be. We're all adults here in the end of the day. Yeah. I think it'll probably be fine.
So how did you kind of get into drag, or decide that you wanted? Was there kind of a moment where you were sitting in a show and thought, I could do that, or was it something you've been interested in for a long time, or how did that? I've
always dressed up. I've always liked to play with gender. I was always known as being, like, wherever I've worked, I've always liked to dress up and be that. When I used to work in retail, I would always be the person who'd dress up at, like, Christmas, Easter and everything.
Same.
and it was always so much fun, and I love the fact that you become a new person. But actually getting properly into drag, it was during lockdown, the first lockdown. I was bored, and I thought, well, what am I going to do? I just bought some cheap makeup off eBay, as many people do, and just played. And then the more I enjoyed it, the more I done it, and then I got like an online drag family. And then I've now started to bring it into my work, that I actually do talks in drag. I'm writing poetry around my research and performing that in drag. And I'm liking the fact that I can bring both sides of me, both sides of this kind of together. But it really started just as a boredom thing, just doing makeup, and then just really enjoyed it. And it fits very much with me being non-binary, my views on gender and the idea of performativity of gender. It just very as a philosophy fits with me as well. So.
Brilliant. I didn't do anything half as creative or productive in lockdown. I cried a lot. Does that?
Yeah. I ate a lot of food. Yeah.
Oh no, I definitely done that one as well. No, yeah, the eating a lot of food, I would definitely go along with as well. While doing the makeup, eating the food while doing that. I can multitask, you see.
Do better than I am, because if there's food in the room, nothing else matters. We went out for lunch before we recorded this and thought we might have to have a nap afterwards.
Yeah, very full.
That's the point that we were at.
Mm.
So we've talked about the message that you give to an ally. What message would you give to someone who's maybe listening to this and thinks, I might be non-binary or queer or bi or get whatever kind of label they feel fits them, and is looking to kind of make contact with other people in the community, or to kind of doesn't really know where to start? Obviously, everyone comes out at their own pace, and everyone's coming out story is their own story. But if there is someone who is looking for that community and doesn't know where to start, have you got maybe a recommendation for that, or is there a way that you kind of got in touch with the community that you felt was kind of good for you? I don't know kind of what your journey was with that.
Yeah, I don't really remember. I wouldn't say I was stupid old, but I'm not young either. But there wasn't really much when I came out. I can remember actually being there to get the support, but now there were helplines and stuff, but just didn't really access that. But there are helplines now, so you've got Switchboard, which are a fantastic charity, you can always call them. But pretty much every city has an LGBTQ plus organisation, charity, etc. Here in Birmingham, you've got Birmingham LGBT. I know, I used to live in Worcester, you've got Out Together. There's loads of different organisations, and they are generally fantastic. And they're very confidential, they're very discreet if you aren't out and you're just wanting to speak to someone before you feel comfortable. So I would just say reach out. They are really fantastic. They have normally really good support networks. And that's what I'd really advise. But as I said, there are helplines like Switchboard. Stonewall also have loads of support, like services that they can also provide. If you're a younger person and you think you might be trans, you've got the Mermaids charity, and then there's just loads of other organisations. Just have a little look at it, do Google, but also one thing I would suggest is you can use a proxy site, so you can use that, so you can, it doesn't save your search history, because obviously you might need to be careful, so you could just Google that, be using that. And then just find an organisation and reach out, because they are normally really, really supportive.
Yeah, and local libraries are your friends if you need safe places to Google things. I think
definitely.
Absolutely. Incognito mode is also useful, definitely, for that kind of stuff.
Definitely.
Not that I do it in the office at all for looking at anything, ever.
That sounds really dodgy. Would you like to clarify that she means Facebook?
Yeah.
Facebook, yeah. God, what?
I'm going to say I'm definitely ducking out with that conversation there. I'm not getting involved in that.
Oh dear. I walked right into that one.
You really did set yourself up.
I really, really did. I wanted to ask, do you have any recollection of maybe your first experience of ever seeing drag?
Yes, I remember seeing it on TV, and I'll be really honest, it horrified me. I was petrified about it. I just did not. Now, I grew up as a Catholic, and I went through Catholic school, and I kind of went through a bit of a tricky period where the school used to actually stay stuff like you had to pray your gay away, you're just a sinner, you've got to stay single. So I kind of went through a little bit of light touch conversion therapy, really, because I was told that I was a sinner and I'd have to pray and I'd have to change my life to be moral, basically.
Makes me so angry.
And it frustrates me now, and it's stuff that I'm really unpacking now. And with the conversion therapy stuff that's happening at the moment, particularly not banning it for trans people, it's just really at the forefront of my mind that actually how damaging that is, because I kind of had that a little bit myself. But so then I had all these internalised things, and then when I saw it, I just did not understand it. And then I came back to seeing it again as an adult. I was probably about 13, 14 then, and as an adult, and absolutely loved it. It was such the polar opposite reaction. I had already started unpacking a lot of my internalised prejudice and absolutely loved the freedom. I remember seeing RuPaul's Drag Race Season 1, and I don't think it was when it was exactly aired, but it wasn't that long after. Really, and one of the drag queens called Nina Flowers really does so much androgyny within their drag, and it was the first time that I saw drag as just not being cross-dressing. I was like, this is different, because Nina Flowers was not cross-dressing, it was a performance, it was androgynous, and it was just so interesting. And that's really what really sparked my interest in drag, is the fact that it's not just cross-dressing, it's far more to it.
Do you remember the first time you saw drag?
Today, in person. It's
really?
Yeah, never been able to see it in person before, and it's amazing.
In London, there's so many good drag brunches,
I
drag
know.
shows.
I need to go and see all that kind of stuff. Really,
Definitely, there's loads in London.
I've met a lot of drag queens out of all of the clothes and everything without the makeup on, but I've never had an amazing conversation while we're getting our nails done one time, but I've never actually been to their show because of COVID happened, and then
yeah, that is true. To be fair, COVID did kind of destroy our community and the drag scene a little bit. It's recovering a bit now, but yeah.
I'll go and help it on London. I promise.
Definitely. There's some really amazing drag in London, and obviously in Birmingham we've got one of the best drag scenes in the country. But I think anybody would say that about their where they are part of, wouldn't they? But yeah. I generally do think we've actually got some of the best drag here in Birmingham. Yeah. Very gritty drag.
I think so. I mean, I can remember being a kid and watching like Lily Savage on TV. That was just so that's kind of always been part of. I always wanted a blank checkbook and pen, and I don't know why. I was like 7. Like I didn't know why I wanted that.
Did you not see? Sorry to interject
No, that's what I'm here for.
I didn't see Lily Savage doing drag. It was a really weird thing. I think because Lily Savage was so funny and so accepted by society, there's that slight bit of it not...
disconnect.
Yeah, that for me didn't look like drag, because drag is quite political, it's quite outrageous, and Lily Savage didn't really get that reaction.
I think I'm very lucky in that my family's incredibly political. My nan was a union organiser and things like that. Yeah. We are a very political family, so I do remember kind of having that, what was considered that age-appropriate conversation at the time of like, okay, this is maybe why she does what she does, but probably not to the true form of drag as you think about it, that kind of very political performance. I do remember, so when I went to university in Lancaster, and Dixie was the drag queen who always ran one of the particular nights in the nightclub that we went in, and it was just joy personified. And she was incredible, she was absolutely fantastic, and I was probably 19. Yeah. And we would just go, I think it was on a Thursday, just purely for Dixie and to see what she was doing and the message that she was putting out, and that for me was just to see her, and as well because it wasn't like a show, she would be she was the DJ and she was also in the crowd as well, so it was very kind of up close and personal drag for want of a better description, and she was incredible, and I remember kind of thinking this is the best thing I've ever seen, and you know, kind of drag brunches and things are something that I sign up to as often as possible.
And I think that's the fun of it. And I wasn't trying to say Lily Savage was a drag queen.
No,
because 100% a drag queen. It just, for me, it didn't dawn on me as being drag. I kind of saw a stand-up comedian more than I did a drag artist. And I think it's more when you start seeing the more what's known as local drag. And I don't like the term in one way because it devalidates that type of drag, but at the same time it is local drag, and I think people should be proud of being local drag. I know I'm proud of more being a local drag artist than a big mainstream one, but I think when you start seeing that more gritty drag and actually more community focused drag, I think it's very different. And I think I love our drag in this country because our drag has become so political, so you'll never go to a drag show without any politics in it. And it's normally hating on people like Boris Johnson, Katie
really
Hopkins, etc. It is hilarious because the social times will definitely be critiqued, and actually everybody thinks that drag is just about watching somebody standing up lip sync, but there is a message quite often to drag shows, and it is really and just doing drag is political in its nature because you're messing with gender norms, and particularly in a country that's keeps on dropping down the LGBT friendly list in Europe, we're actually becoming quite a hostile country to a certain degree, so actually it's political in its own right.
Yeah. They always say, don't they, you look at history, you look at the arts, because that shows you what was truly going on, like the politics of the country.
Definitely.
What the people were thinking rather than what the politicians were saying.
100% that, yeah.
Oh, we have to go, Alicia.
I can't believe I haven't been. It's just one of those things that's always been on my list, and now I'm like, well, I've met a drag queen now.
We'll have to maybe do a drag Arden night, and we'll have to do a drag show at maybe in Coventry. I know some Coventry drag queens quite well, so actually maybe we could do something. In Coventry,
call my chancellor, let's make this happen.
Yeah,
definitely.
I'll travel down on the train, no problem. I won't mind about the travel
On behalf of the institution, yes, that's not going to make it the podcast, but immediately, yes. I just signed us up for stuff. I genuinely can't believe that you've never seen live drag.
Never seen it, yeah.
I definitely think that now you should wait until we can go and see Philly, and then that can be your first.
That would be really cool, actually, yeah.
Yes and no, because my drag is not really the standard drag that you would see, because I'll stand up and I will do a bit of a talk and then read a poem, then do a bit of a talk and then read a poem, and I'm not devalidating. I love my drag and I think it's really important, but I think go and see a local drag show in London and actually, because then you'll start to get to know the diversity that there is within drag. I think that people do anything in drag. There's, as I said, all different type of drag artists, and I think just see as much drag as you can, because there's just so much diversity in it. See drag queens. Anybody out there who books shows, book drag queens, because they need the booking, definitely. And queens and kings of colour definitely also need more support. All of these intersectional issues that are going on, and it happens within the LGBTQ plus community, but see as much drag as you can. It's so diverse, so many different types.
Okay, I promise. So, cross my heart.
Brilliant. Hold you to that, definitely.
Okay. You have to come to London, and then by then I'll be like, so we should go here.
We'll come back in like 6 months and we'll just review all the shows. If you want to talk about anything else on the podcast, we'll just review all the shows that you've seen.
That'd be really fun.
We'll do that. That'll be the 6-month review. I personally think that this has been an excellent conversation.
Yeah.
I think it's been great, and I think leaving on that glorious high note is a really good place to end. This is always the point in the show that we say, do you have social media handles that you want to put out there for people to go and follow you? Do you have any projects that you want to make people aware of? Any research you want them of yours to go and read? So this is your chance to plug everything that is Philly and Phil. Go ahead.
I'd just say, with my drag, follow my Instagram, because everything goes up on that, and that's Philli _MI _up. So PHILLI MI _UP. So Philli Mi Up, and that's on Instagram. And everything goes up there. We're going to be doing some exciting touring in the country with a little bit about drag, LGBT and dementia stuff in drag. So a lot of talks on that. So follow that and you'll see all the updates.
Brilliant.
Fabulous.
Thank you so much. Wow, thank you.
Yeah,
Brilliant,
so
thank you.
Thank you very much. That brings us to the end of another episode. And hopefully we'll see you all again soon.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.